There's something magical about the way food can take us back in time. For many of us, fast food wasn't just about grabbing a quick bite, it was about the experience. The excitement of unwrapping something new, the smell of fries filling the car, or the thrill of a new item everyone was talking about at school the next day. But here's the thing, not every menu item was meant to last forever. Over the decades, America's biggest fast food chains experimented with bold new flavors, quirky ideas, and sometimes downright strange creations. Some of them became cult classics, while others disappeared almost as quickly as they arrived. And yet, even the failures left behind memories, little pieces of nostalgia that remind us of a different time in American food culture. Think back to the golden brown crunch of McDonald's fried apple pie, before healthier options took its place. Or the Taco Bell Bell Beefer, a sloppy Joe with a Tex-Mex twist that feels almost too strange to believe today. Or Wendy's Super Bar, where for a brief moment, you could load your tray with tacos, pasta, and salad, all inside a fast food joint. These weren't just meals. They were cultural moments, tiny snapshots of what America was craving, experimenting with, and talking about. And while the items themselves are gone, the memories they left behind are still with us. So today, we're opening the vault on 15 forgotten fast food items you'll never eat again. Some will make your mouth water, some will leave you scratching your head, and others will stir emotions you didn't know you still carried. Let's begin our journey with one of the most nostalgic and controversial losses in McDonald's history. Point number 1. McDonald's fried apple pie. There was a time when biting into a McDonald's apple pie wasn't just a sweet treat, it was an event. The golden shell would crackle beneath your teeth, releasing a burst of molten hot apple filling that could scorch your tongue if you weren't careful. But somehow, that danger only made it taste better. The fried apple pie debuted in 1968, the very same year McDonald's rolled out its now iconic Big Mac. Back then, the company was building its identity not just as a place for burgers and fries, but as a family destination, a spot where dessert was just as memorable as the meal itself. Unlike the safer, oven-baked versions we know today, the original pies were dropped in bubbling oil until they reached that perfect crispy crunch. And America loved them. For decades, they were a staple of childhood road trips, after-school stops, and late-night cravings. The taste wasn't just about apples and cinnamon. It was about nostalgia, comfort, and a little bit of rebellion in a fast food wrapper. But in the 1990s, everything changed. With rising health concerns and mounting criticism over fried foods, McDonald's quietly retired the deep-fried version in favor of a baked pie. Healthier? Maybe. But for millions of fans, it was never the same. The magic was gone, replaced by something that felt safer, blander, and strangely unremarkable. Even today, die-hard fans swap stories of the fried pies, some even tracking them down in overseas McDonald's locations where they still exist. For Americans, though, the fried apple pie lives on only in memory, crispy, sweet, and just a little dangerous. And while McDonald's has tried countless limited-time desserts since, none have carried the same weight of nostalgia. From a pie that burned our tongues to a Taco Sloppy Joe hybrid, let's move to another forgotten gem, Taco Bell's Bell Beefer. Point number 2. Taco Bell Bell Beefer. Before Taco Bell became the kingdom of tacos, burritos, and quesadillas, it tried something that looked a lot more like a backyard cookout than a Mexican-inspired meal. It was called the Bell Beefer, a sandwich that blended the sloppy comfort of an American Sloppy Joe with Taco Bell's signature seasoned beef. Launched in the 1970s, the Bell Beefer came in a soft hamburger bun piled with taco meat, lettuce, onions, and cheese. In some versions, a squirt of mild sauce sealed the deal. It was messy, it was saucy, and it was unlike anything else on the fast food market. Why did it matter? Because back then, not everyone was ready for tacos. Believe it or not, tacos were still considered a novelty food for many parts of America. So Taco Bell created the Bell Beefer as a sort of stepping stone, something familiar enough for hamburger-loving Americans, but still carrying that Tex-Mex flavor. For families in small towns, It was often their very first taste of what Taco Bell had to offer. And yet, the Bell Beefer never fully caught on. By the 1990s, as tacos and burritos became mainstream favorites, the sandwich quietly disappeared. To Taco Bell's new generation of fans, it seemed unnecessary, even a little odd. Why order a taco on bread when you could just order a taco? But for those who remember it, the Bell Beefer carries a special kind of nostalgia. It's the memory of unwrapping a greasy paper wrapper and watching taco meat spill onto your lap, of a food experiment that made no sense and yet somehow worked. Even today, fan groups online still beg Taco Bell to bring it back, arguing it was one of the chain's most unique creations. From a sloppy Joe in a bun, let's move to something even stranger, a salad bar, inside a fast food restaurant. That was Wendy's bold gamble with the Superbar. Point number 3, Wendy's Superbar. Fast food has always been about speed. Get in, grab your burger, and go. But in the late 1980s, Wendy's decided to flip that idea on its head. Their experiment? The Wendy's Superbar, an all-you-can-eat buffet hidden inside a burger chain. Introduced in 1988, the Superbar was divided into 3 themed stations: the garden spot with a full salad bar, the pasta section offering spaghetti and fettuccine with sauces, and the Mexican Fiesta bar where you could build your own tacos. For just a few dollars, customers could fill their plates as high as they wanted. And for families on a budget, it was almost too good to be true. The Superbar became an instant hit, especially for kids. It turned a quick dinner stop into an event, piling tacos onto trays, mixing pasta with endless cheese, and sneaking back for just one more helping of pudding. For many, it felt like luxury wrapped in fast food prices. But behind the scenes, the Superbar was chaos. Employees hated it. It was nearly impossible to keep stations clean, stocked, and sanitary with the rush of customers. Food waste was enormous, and the costs of maintaining a buffet in a fast food environment quickly outweighed the benefits. By the late 1990s, Wendy's quietly began shutting them down, until the last Superbar vanished in 1998. For those who grew up in that era, the Superbar lives on in a haze of nostalgia. It wasn't just food, it was a memory of endless choices, of childhood freedom, of Wendy's being something more than just square burgers. And to this day, fans online reminisce, wishing for just one more chance to pile up a plastic plate under the fluorescent lights of a Wendy's dining room. From buffets to burgers, our next forgotten fast food memory is one that promised sophistication, but ended in one of McDonald's most famous flops. Point number 4, McDonald's Arch Deluxe. In the mid-1990s, McDonald's decided it was time to grow up. For decades, the Golden Arches had been the place of happy meals, playgrounds, and kid-friendly mascots. But in 1996, the company tried something bold, the Arch Deluxe, a burger designed specifically for adults. This wasn't just another sandwich, it was a full rebrand attempt. McDonald's poured nearly $200 million into advertising, calling it the burger with the grown-up taste. The Arch Deluxe featured a quarter-pound beef patty, peppered bacon, leaf lettuce, tomato, cheese, onions, and a secret mustard mayo sauce, all served on a sesame seed potato bun. In theory, it was a premium option, a more sophisticated meal for those who had outgrown Happy Meals. And at first glance, it worked. The commercials were everywhere, kids turning their noses up at the burger while adults claimed it as their own. It was marketed as the next big thing in fast food. But in reality, the Arch Deluxe quickly became one of McDonald's most infamous flops. Price and identity. At a time when McDonald's was known for value menus and family appeal, customers balked at paying extra for a fancy burger. The adult branding didn't resonate either. Most adults weren't looking for gourmet experiences at a fast food counter. By 2000, the Arch Deluxe quietly disappeared. Yet for those who tried it, the memory lingers. Some swear it was the best burger McDonald's ever made, while others remember it as an overhyped disappointment. The Arch Deluxe became a lesson in fast food history. Sometimes, Trying to be too grown-up in a world built on fun and nostalgia can backfire. From a sophisticated burger flop, we turn to something far more unusual, a forgotten McDonald's experiment that replaced beef with pineapple. Point number 5. McDonald's Hula Burger. In the early 1960s, McDonald's faced a problem it never expected: what to feed customers on Fridays. At the time, large portions of America, particularly Catholics, didn't eat meat on Fridays. That meant empty dining rooms and lost profits for Ray Kroc's growing burger empire. So, McDonald's founder decided to experiment. His solution? The Hula Burger, a slice of grilled pineapple, topped with cheese, served on a warm bun. It was supposed to be a meatless alternative that was still quick, affordable, and uniquely McDonald's. On paper, it made sense. Pineapple was exotic, different, and eye-catching in a sea of beef patties. But in practice, customers hated it. The sweet and savory combination was too strange for the time, and it failed to satisfy diners who were expecting something hearty. At the very same moment, though, a Cincinnati franchise owner named Lou Groen had another idea. He pitched a battered, fried fish sandwich topped with tartar sauce, the Filet-O-Fish. McDonald's tested both items side by side, and the results were decisive. The Hula Burger flopped, while the Filet-O-Fish became an instant hit, eventually becoming a permanent staple on the menu. The Hula Burger's short life makes it one of McDonald's most fascinating failures. While nearly forgotten today, it represents a turning point in fast food history, the moment McDonald's realized experimentation was necessary, but not every experiment would succeed. For those who do remember, the Hula Burger is more of a legend than a taste, a strange what-if in the world of fast food. It never captured hearts, but it paved the way for one of McDonald's longest-lasting hits. From pineapple patties to molten cheese, our next forgotten favorite wasn't strange at all. It was downright beloved. The original fried apple pies may be gone, but so too are the fried, gooey onion nuggets. Point number 6. McDonald's Onion Nuggets. Long before Chicken McNuggets became a global sensation, McDonald's quietly tested another bite-sized snack in the 1970s, onion nuggets. Yes, you heard that right. Chunks of battered, deep-fried onions served just like nuggets. At the time, McDonald's was experimenting with expanding beyond burgers and fries, looking for snackable items that could be eaten on the go. Onion rings were already popular at competing chains, but McDonald's wanted its own unique twist. Instead of rings, they created small clusters of chopped onion coated in seasoned breading. Customers could pop them into their mouths like fries, perfect for sharing, or for kids who weren't ready for big sandwiches. But here's the catch. While the concept was clever, the execution left much to be desired. The nuggets were greasy, uneven in texture, and often lacked the satisfying crunch of a traditional onion ring. Some people loved them, calling them addictive little bites, while others found them heavy and unappealing. By the late 1970s, onion nuggets quietly disappeared from most menus. But their short run wasn't a total loss. In fact, many historians of fast food believe onion nuggets directly inspired the creation of Chicken McNuggets, which debuted nationally in 1983. The breading techniques, bite-sized portions, and dipping sauce marketing all echoed lessons learned from the onion nuggets experiment. For those who were lucky enough to try them, onion nuggets are a quirky piece of nostalgia, one of those, did I really eat that, or did I dream it, foods. They may not have survived, but they paved the way for one of McDonald's most iconic menu items. From McDonald's forgotten nuggets, let's turn to another heavyweight chain that tried to reinvent pizza itself, with a dish so massive and complicated, it nearly broke the kitchen. Enter Pizza Hut's Piazza Pizza. Point number 7. Pizza Hut's Piazza Pizza. If you grew up in the 1980s, there's a good chance you remember Pizza Hut not just as a place for quick slices, but as a sit-down family restaurant with red roofs, jukeboxes, and that unmistakable smell of baking dough. And in 1985, Pizza Hut unveiled what might have been its most ambitious creation ever, the Piazza Pizza. Unlike a regular pizza, The Priazzo was more like a cross between a deep dish pie and a lasagna. It featured multiple layers of dough, meats, cheeses, and sauces stacked high into a towering, casserole-style dish. Some versions had 3 types of meat, others came loaded with veggies, and all of them promised a hearty, indulgent dining experience. The advertising painted it as a true Italian feast, something that would wow families and make Pizza Hut feel a little more upscale than its competitors. And at first, customers were curious. Ordering a Priazzo felt special, almost like sitting down for a Sunday dinner. But behind the scenes, there was a problem. The Priazzo took forever to make. It wasn't fast, it wasn't easy, and it completely clashed with the quick-service model that made pizza chains profitable. Some locations even struggled to cook it properly, leading to long waits and uneven results. For employees, it was a nightmare. By the early 1990s, the Priazzo was phased out. But for those who tried it, the memory has stuck. Fans still swap recipes online, recreating the gooey, layered masterpiece in their own kitchens. It may have been impractical for fast food, but it was unforgettable for the people who tasted it. From Pizza Hut's Italian experiment, let's swing back to Taco Bell, where another long-lost item tried to merge American comfort food with Tex-Mex flair, the volcano menu. Point number 8, Burger King's Jumbo. When you think of Burger King, your mind probably jumps straight to flame-grilled Whoppers, crispy fries, and maybe even a crown or two. But in the late 1960s, Burger King tried something a little different, the Jumbo hot ham and cheese sandwich. Launched in 1968, the Jumbo was Burger King's attempt to offer something beyond burgers. It featured thinly sliced ham, melted cheese, and lettuce, all tucked inside a soft bun. Simple, familiar, and easy to prepare, it was marketed as a warm, comforting alternative to the typical burger and fries meal. For many families, especially those looking for a lighter option, the Jumbo became a quiet favorite. It wasn't flashy, but it was dependable, a sandwich that felt more like something you'd pack in a school lunch than order from a fast food counter. And maybe that was its charm. But as the 1970s rolled on, the Jumbo began to fade. Tastes were changing, competition was fierce, and Burger King doubled down on promoting its signature Whopper instead of side experiments. By the mid-1970s, the Jumbo had vanished from menus, remembered only by those who grew up with it. Then came a twist. In 2014, Burger King briefly brought the Jumbo back for a limited time. For older customers, it was a nostalgic blast from the past, while younger ones mostly scratched their heads at the strange name. The comeback didn't last, but it reignited memories of a sandwich that symbolized a different era of fast food, simpler, less about extremes, and more about comfort. The Jumbo may never be as famous as the Whopper, but for those who remember it, it's a taste of childhood, wrapped in paper and sealed with nostalgia. From ham and cheese nostalgia, we move to a dessert oddity that blended America's love of pizza with one of its favorite cookies, Domino's Oreo Dessert Pizza. Point number 9. Domino's Oreo Dessert Pizza. When most people think of Domino's, they think of delivery boxes stacked with cheesy pepperoni or late-night study sessions fueled by extra-large pies. But in the late 2000s, Domino's decided to push the boundaries of what pizza could be. The result? The Oreo Dessert Pizza. Launched in 2007, this unusual treat featured a thin pizza crust smothered in vanilla icing, sprinkled generously with crushed Oreo cookies, and drizzled with even more sweet icing on top. It was messy, sugary, and unlike anything Domino's had ever offered before. For kids, it felt like a dream, pizza and cookies fused into one ultimate indulgence. The Oreo Dessert Pizza quickly gained attention, especially with late-night college crowds and families looking for something fun to share after a meal. It wasn't just food, it was an experience, a novelty that made people smile the moment they opened the box. Domino's even leaned into the shock factor, advertising it as the ultimate sweet twist on their brand. But just as quickly as it appeared, it was gone. By 2010, the Oreo Dessert Pizza had been quietly discontinued. Some blamed low sales, others pointed to the high calorie count and health concerns, and a few suggested it was simply too messy and impractical for delivery. Still, the memory lingers. Fans online continue to swap DIY recipes, recreating the dessert with store-bought Oreos and pizza dough. And whenever Domino's hints at experimenting with desserts again, nostalgia for the Oreo pizza resurfaces. It may not have lasted long, but for those who tried it, the Oreo dessert pizza was a reminder that fast food isn't just about satisfying hunger, it's about creating moments that feel fun, daring, and a little over the top. From a sweet experiment, let's head back to the golden era of quirky sides, when Jack in the Box tried to combine two fried favorites into one, Frings. Point number 10, Jack in the Box Frings. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the ones people remember most. In the late 1970s, Jack in the Box asked a question every fast food lover had probably thought at some point. Why choose between fries and onion rings when you could have both? Their answer was the Frings. Frings weren't complicated. Each order was a mix of crispy French fries and golden onion rings, tossed together in the same bag. For indecisive customers, it was a dream come true: salty, starchy fries on one side, sweet and crunchy onion rings on the other. You didn't have to pick, you got both. For a while, Frings were a cult hit. Kids loved the novelty, adults enjoyed the variety, and it fit perfectly with Jack in the Box's offbeat, experimental vibe. The chain was known for being a little different from the other burger giants, and Frings felt like a clever little perk that set them apart. But despite their popularity, Frings didn't last forever. Some say the mixed orders complicated inventory, others argue onion rings just weren't selling well enough to justify the combo. By the 1980s, Frings began disappearing from most locations, though a few regional spots held onto them for longer. Today, Frings live on mostly in memory, and in occasional DIY hacks, where customers order both fries and rings, then mix them together on their own. They're a reminder of a time when fast food chains weren't afraid to get playful, even with the smallest menu items. And if nothing else, Frings proved one timeless truth: sometimes the best fast food ideas are the ones that let us have it all. From mixing sides, we now return to McDonald's, where one of the strangest experiments in company history swapped out beef patties for pineapple. That's the story of the Hula Burger. Point number 11. Taco Bell Volcano Menu. Fast food has always loved a gimmick, something bold, fiery, or over the top to grab attention. And in the mid-1990s, Taco Bell struck gold with the launch of its Volcano menu. It all began with the Volcano Taco, introduced in 1995. With its bright red crunchy shell, it wasn't just food, it was a statement. Inside, it carried Taco Bell's signature seasoned beef, lettuce, and cheese, but what really set it apart was the fiery lava sauce. Thick, cheesy, and packed with spice, the sauce gave every bite a molten kick that fans instantly fell in love with. The success of the Volcano Taco led to a full volcano menu. Burritos, nachos, and other items were drenched in the same lava sauce, and the lineup quickly developed a cult following. For many customers, especially teens and young adults, it became a rite of passage. Can you handle the heat? But just as quickly as it caught fire, the Volcano menu fizzled out. By 2012, Taco Bell phased it out entirely, claiming shifting tastes and low demand. Fans, however, weren't buying it. Online petitions popped up, begging for its return. Nostalgia only grew stronger over the years, with countless copycat recipes circulating on food blogs and YouTube. Finally, in 2023, Taco Bell briefly revived the Volcano menu, sparking a frenzy among loyalists who had waited more than a decade to taste that lava sauce again. But like most limited-time offers, it didn't last long, and soon enough, it disappeared once more. For fans, the Volcano menu represents more than just spice. It's a memory of daring flavors, late-night cravings, and that thrill of eating something a little extreme. From fiery tacos, we now turn to Pizza Hut, where the chain once stacked pepperoni higher than ever before with the triple-decker pizza. Point number 12. Pizza Hut Triple Pepperoni Pizza. If there's one thing Americans love, it's pepperoni. And in the 1990s, Pizza Hut decided to take that love to the extreme with one of its most indulgent creations ever, the Triple Pepperoni Pizza. This wasn't your average pie. Instead of a single crust loaded with toppings, the Triple Pepperoni featured 3 layers, 2 thin, crispy crusts stacked together with an extra blanket of cheese in between, then topped with sauce, more cheese, and piles of pepperoni. The result? A gooey, cheesy monster of a pizza that was both decadent and a little bit absurd. For families and teenagers, it felt like the ultimate treat. Ordering a Triple Pepperoni was a special occasion, the kind of meal you bragged about to your friends. It embodied the over-the-top, fun-first attitude of 1990s fast food, when bigger and bolder often meant better. But behind the scenes, the Triple Pepperoni was a headache. It required extra preparation time, special ingredients, and complicated baking processes that slowed down kitchens. On top of that, it wasn't exactly a health-friendly option, packed with calories, fat, and sodium, even by fast food standards. By the late 1990s, the Triple Pepperoni disappeared from menus. For Pizza Hut, it was too complex to maintain, but for fans, its memory still lingers as one of the most indulgent fast food experiments ever attempted. Some even claim it was the best pizza Pizza Hut ever made. Today, you'll find message boards, Reddit threads, and nostalgic food blogs filled with people begging Pizza Hut to bring it back. For them, the Triple Pepperoni isn't just food, it's a piece of childhood, a memory of sleepovers, birthday parties, and Friday nights in front of the TV. From layers of pepperoni excess, we turn to Burger King, where fries once came with a twist that required you to shake, rattle, and roll. The Shake 'em Up fries. Point number 13, Burger King's Shake 'em Up fries. Fast food in the early 2000s was all about novelty. Chains were experimenting with ways to make even the simplest menu items more fun. And in 2002, Burger King decided to reinvent its fries with a playful twist, the Shake 'em Up fries. The concept was simple, but brilliant for kids. You get an order of Burger King's regular fries, a paper bag, and a packet of cheese-flavored powder. You dump the fries into the bag, sprinkle in the powder, close it up, and then shake, shake, shake until every fry was coated in bright orange dust. For children, it was interactive fast food, something you could play with before eating. For adults, it was a quirky nod to the growing trend of flavored chips and snacks that dominated supermarket aisles at the time. The ads leaned into the fun factor, showing kids rocking out while shaking bags of fries like maracas. But while it was a clever idea, Shake 'em Up fries never stuck around for long. Some customers loved the cheesy flavor, but others found it too artificial, messy, or just unnecessary when regular fries were already a favorite. By 2003, the item quietly disappeared, remembered mostly as a short-lived fad. Still, for those who experienced it, Shake 'em Up fries are a fond, if slightly silly, memory. They weren't just about taste, they were about the experience of making fast food your own, of laughing with friends in the back seat as orange powder spilled everywhere. It was fast food as entertainment, something we don't see much of anymore. From shaking up fries, let's move to McDonald's, where they tried a healthier twist on fast food long before it became trendy, with the McSalad Shakers. Point number 14, McDonald's McSalad Shakers. When you think of McDonald's, you probably picture Big Macs, fries, and McNuggets, not salad. But in the year 2000, McDonald's tried something bold, making salads fun. Their solution? The McSalad Shakers. These were no ordinary salads. Instead of being served in a boring bowl, McSalad Shakers came in tall, clear plastic cups with a domed lid. Inside were layers of lettuce, shredded cheese, veggies, and sometimes chicken, depending on the variety. Customers would pour in the packet of dressing, snap on the lid, and then, just like the name suggested, shake it all up. The result was a salad evenly coated with dressing, ready to eat on the go. McDonald's offered 3 main types: chef salad, grilled chicken Caesar, and garden salad. They were marketed as a modern, portable option for busy people who wanted something lighter but still convenient. The concept actually caught on at first, especially among adults looking for a healthier McDonald's choice. But the popularity was short-lived. Customers complained that the portion sizes were too small to be filling, while others disliked the awkwardness of eating straight from a cup. Plus, with the rise of McDonald's premium salads just a few years later, the quirky McSalad shakers felt more like a gimmick than a serious menu item. By 2003, they were quietly phased out. Today, McSalad shakers are remembered fondly by some as a clever, ahead-of-its-time idea, almost like the fast food version of today's salad jars that trend on social media. They represent a time when McDonald's was experimenting with breaking its own mold, trying to prove it could be more than just burgers and fries. From healthy experiments, we now swing back into indulgence, this time with a dessert Pizza Hut fans still dream about, the triple-decker brownie pizza. Point number 15. Pizza Hut triple-decker brownie pizza. If the 1990s were the golden age of over-the-top fast food, Pizza Hut was one of the biggest players in pushing boundaries. And while their stuffed crust pizzas got all the headlines, one of their most decadent experiments was a dessert, the triple-decker brownie pizza. This creation was exactly what it sounded like. A dessert pizza built to shock your sweet tooth. Instead of a savory crust, Pizza Hut used layers of dense, chewy brownie baked in a pizza pan. Between the layers was extra fudge filling and on top, a rich drizzle of chocolate, sometimes paired with candy pieces or extra toppings depending on the promotion. The appeal was obvious. Imagine sitting in a booth at Pizza Hut after polishing off a stuffed crust pepperoni, and then your server sets down what looks like another pizza, except this one was pure chocolate overload. For kids, it was magical. For adults, it was indulgent in a way that felt almost rebellious, a treat that pushed past normal dessert boundaries. But like many of Pizza Hut's boldest ideas, the triple-decker brownie pizza wasn't built to last. The preparation was time-consuming, the portions were massive, and it wasn't exactly cheap to make. Plus, the calorie count made even stuffed crust look modest. By the early 2000s, the dessert disappeared from menus. Still, fans haven't forgotten. Food bloggers and nostalgic eaters still try to recreate it at home, layering brownies in pans and drizzling them with chocolate, all in an effort to relive that childhood moment when dessert felt larger than life. The triple-decker brownie pizza may have been short-lived, but it captured the playful spirit of an era when Pizza Hut wasn't afraid to think big, literally. From oversized desserts, we now turn back to the drive-through lane, where McDonald's once tried to win over breakfast fans with a hearty item that seemed like it should have been a hit, the McDLT. Point number 16. McDonald's McDLT. In the 1980s, McDonald's was searching for ways to stand out in an increasingly competitive burger market. And in 1984, they introduced a product that seemed simple on the surface but was actually one of their most ambitious ideas, the McDLT. The name stood for McDonald's lettuce and tomato, but it was more than just a cheeseburger. The McDLT was all about freshness. To achieve this, McDonald's created a special two-compartment styrofoam container. On one side, you had the hot ingredients, beef patty and cheese, kept piping hot. On the other side, you had the cold ingredients, lettuce, tomato, and mayo, kept crisp and cool. The customer's job was to combine the two halves when ready to eat, creating what McDonald's called the hot stays hot, the cool stays cool burger. For a while, the McDLT was a hit. Ads featured a young Jason Alexander, before Seinfeld fame, singing and dancing about the burger, making it feel modern, fun, and even a little upscale compared to the Big Mac. Customers loved the idea of getting a fresher-tasting fast food burger with crisp lettuce and juicy tomatoes that didn't wilt under a hot patty. But despite the clever marketing, the McDLT ran into big problems. The bulky styrofoam packaging was expensive and environmentally controversial. By the early 1990s, as public pressure mounted against styrofoam waste, McDonald's quietly phased out the McDLT. Today, It's remembered as one of the chain's most innovative but impractical experiments. For some, it sparks nostalgia for a time when McDonald's was willing to reinvent even the basics. For others, it's a reminder of how quickly cultural shifts, like environmental concerns, can bring down even the flashiest fast food ideas. From burgers in boxes, we now turn to Taco Bell, where an item that seemed futuristic at the time turned out to be a cult favorite long before Crunchwraps became famous. The Taco Bell Chilito. Point number 17. Taco Bell Chilito. Sometimes, the most unassuming menu items end up being the ones people remember the most. In the late 1980s and into the early 1990s, Taco Bell offered a small but fiery wrap that became a cult favorite, the Chilito. On paper, it was simple, just a soft flour tortilla filled with Taco Bell's chili and melted cheese. It wasn't as flashy as a taco salad or as filling as a burrito supreme, but it was comforting, spicy, and packed with flavor. At just a couple of dollars, it became a go-to snack for students, late-night diners, and anyone looking for something warm and satisfying without breaking the bank. But the Chilito's story takes a twist. While fans loved the taste, Taco Bell eventually realized the name had an unfortunate problem. In certain Spanish-speaking countries, Chilito was used as a slang term with an off-color meaning. To avoid cultural backlash and awkward misunderstandings, Taco Bell began phasing out the Chilito in the mid-1990s, replacing it with the more blandly named Chili Cheese Burrito. The rebrand, however, didn't come with much fanfare, and in many places, the item vanished altogether. But die-hard fans never forgot. Even today, certain Taco Bell franchises, mostly in the Midwest, still quietly offer the chili cheese burrito for those in the know. Online, it has its own cult following with petitions, fan pages, and Reddit threads dedicated to bringing it back nationwide. The Chilito is more than just a snack from the past. It's a reminder of Taco Bell's quirky, experimental era when the menu was full of bold flavors and unexpected items. For many, it represents a simpler time of grabbing cheap eats with friends after school or on road trips. From this cheesy cult classic, we now head back to Pizza Hut, where one of their most unusual experiments blurred the line between dinner and dessert, the Pizza Hut Priazzo. Point number 18. Pizza Hut Priazzo. In the mid-1980s, Pizza Hut tried something radically different from its usual lineup of thin and pan pizzas. The chain wanted to introduce Americans to a more authentic Italian dining experience, and what they came up with was the Priazzo. Think of it as a cross between a pizza and a lasagna. The Priazzo wasn't just a single crust topped with cheese and pepperoni. Instead, it had two thick crust layers with fillings stacked in between, meats, cheeses, vegetables, then another layer of sauce and cheese on top. Some versions were loaded with pepperoni and sausage, while others leaned heavier on veggies and cheese, but all of them were rich, heavy, and unlike anything else on Pizza Hut's menu. It was marketed as a taste of Italy, something that felt more indulgent, more substantial than your everyday pizza. Families were intrigued. It felt like a sit-down meal you'd linger over, not just a quick slice to go. And for a while, the Priazzo had a loyal following, especially among customers who wanted something heartier than a regular pie. But there was one big problem. The Priazzo took forever to cook. Unlike a normal pizza that could be whipped out in minutes, this layered behemoth sometimes took upwards of 40 minutes to prepare. In the world of fast casual dining, that kind of wait was a deal-breaker. By the late 1980s, Pizza Hut quietly pulled it from the menu. Today, the Priazzo is remembered as one of Pizza Hut's most ambitious failures, an item that was beloved by those who tried it, but doomed by the realities of fast food service. Fans still reminisce about it in online forums, trading copycat recipes and hoping for a comeback that probably never will happen. From heavy, Italian-inspired experiments, we head back to McDonald's, where the chain once dared to swap out beef patties for something much leaner, the McLean Deluxe. Point number 19. McDonald's McLean Deluxe. By the early 1990s, fast food was under pressure. Health advocates were sounding alarms about fat and calories, and McDonald's, long criticized for greasy burgers and salty fries, wanted to prove it could offer something lighter. Their answer was the McLean Deluxe, launched in 1991. The McLean wasn't just another burger. It was marketed as the healthy McDonald's option, boasting 91% lean beef with only 10 grams of fat, compared to nearly double that in a Big Mac. To achieve this, McDonald's replaced much of the fat with an unusual ingredient, seaweed extract, specifically carrageenan, which helped the patties hold their texture without drying out. On paper, it sounded like the perfect solution for health-conscious eaters who still wanted the convenience of fast food. Ads featured slogans like 95% fat-free and positioned the McLean Deluxe as a smarter, guilt-free choice. But here's the problem. It just didn't taste like a burger. Customers complained that the McLean was bland, dry, and lacking the indulgent flavor they expected from McDonald's. Even worse, the knowledge that it contained seaweed turned some people off before they even tried it. For a chain built on flavor, not fitness, it felt like an identity crisis. By 1996, the McLean Deluxe was discontinued, remembered as one of McDonald's biggest flops. But in hindsight, it was ahead of its time. Today, better-for-you fast food options are everywhere: turkey burgers, plant-based patties, and low-calorie menus. But in the early 90s, Americans just weren't ready to trade taste for health. For some, the McLean is a nostalgic memory of a moment when McDonald's tried to reinvent itself, only to be reminded that customers didn't come for salads and seaweed, they came for fries and flavor. And speaking of reinvention, our final stop takes us to Burger King, where the chain once served up a snack so quirky, it still sparks curiosity today: the Burger King Whopperito. Point number 20, Burger King Whopperito. By the mid-2010s, fast food chains were experimenting with mashups, blending popular items into something new and headline-grabbing. Taco Bell had its Doritos Locos Tacos, KFC had its Double Down, and Burger King wanted its own viral moment. Enter the Whopperito, launched nationwide in 2016. As the name suggests, it was exactly what it sounded like: a Whopper turned into a burrito. Instead of a sesame seed bun, the seasoned beef, tomatoes, onions, lettuce, pickles, and signature Whopper sauce were all rolled inside a warm flour tortilla. Cheese and a zesty queso-style sauce were added to give it a Tex-Mex twist. On paper, it seemed like a clever crossover, blending America's love of burgers with the growing popularity of burritos. Ads played up the novelty, daring customers to unwrap a Whopper in a whole new way. And at first, it worked. People were curious, food bloggers reviewed it, and social media buzzed with photos of the oddball creation. But the novelty quickly wore off. Fans of the original Whopper felt the burrito version just didn't have the same appeal, while burrito lovers thought it was an underwhelming imitation of the real thing. The Whopperito sat in an awkward middle ground, too strange to become a staple, but not indulgent enough to be a guilty pleasure hit. Within a year, it disappeared from most Burger King menus. Still, the Whopperito remains a quirky piece of fast food history, a reminder of the era when chains scrambled to create Instagram-worthy mashups. For some, it's remembered fondly as a fun one-time experience, while others view it as proof that not every idea needs to leave the test kitchen. And with that, we close out our countdown of 15 forgotten fast food items you'll never eat again. When we look back at these forgotten fast food items, it's easy to laugh at the gimmicks, the strange experiments, and the ideas that maybe never should have made it out of the test kitchen. But for millions of people, each of these foods carries a memory: a Friday night pizza party, a road trip drive-through stop, or a late-night snack with friends. Fast food has never just been about eating. It's been about moments, about the excitement of trying something new, about childhood joy in a Happy Meal toy, or about sitting in a booth with family, sharing food that, for a brief time, felt bigger than life. The McDonald's fried apple pie, Taco Bell's Bell Beefer, Wendy's Super Bar, Pizza Hut's Priazzo, Burger King's Shake 'em Up fries, these weren't just menu items. They were snapshots of an era, tied to the culture, the advertising, and the lifestyles of the times. Some disappeared because they were impractical. Others were too ahead of their time. And some simply faded away, replaced by fresher ideas. But they all remind us of a truth we sometimes forget: nostalgia has a flavor. And for many of us, it's wrapped in fast food wrappers and styrofoam containers that may be long gone, but never forgotten. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world tapestry. And in the comments below, tell us, what forgotten fast food item do you miss the most? Because the story of food is really the story of us, our childhoods, our families, and the little things that made life sweeter, salter, and sometimes a little spicier. Until next time, thanks for watching, and thanks for remembering with us.